Today, we will talk about tragic and happy love stories. Stay tuned, it will be interesting.
My name is Julian, and this is the story of how I lost a woman who knew me better than anyone else. I met Mia when I was 27. She worked in a small bookstore that always smelled of paper and coffee. She didn't try to impress me. She was simply herself, attentive, calm, alive. That was exactly what drew me in. Our relationship didn't look like a movie. There were no dramatic highs or lows. We grew together, moved cities, changed jobs, learned how to live side by side, and somewhere between how was your day and what should we have for dinner, I stopped noticing how much she was holding me together. The problem wasn't that love disappeared. The problem was that it became quiet. I started staying late at work, not because of my career, because I still felt like someone was waiting for me as a person, not just as part of a couple. And that's where Rebecca appeared. She was different, sharp, impatient. She asked questions I hadn't answered even for myself in a long time. With her, I wasn't stable. I was interesting. At first, it was conversations in the smoking area, then late-night messages, then lunches that lasted far too long. Every time, I told myself, I'm not doing anything. And every time, I took another step. Mia started to feel it. She didn't check my phone. She just looked at me a little longer than before. You're here, she said one evening, but you're not with me. I lied, easily, without effort, and that was more frightening than the betrayal itself. When it happened between Rebecca and me for the first time, I didn't feel relief. I felt emptiness, but instead of stopping, I kept going, because going back would have meant looking straight at what I had already broken. Mia didn't find out through proof. She knew through the change in my tone. I don't feel like you're choosing me anymore, she said, and I don't want to be an option. We still lived together for a few months, the worst months of my life, because the love was there, but the trust was not. When she left, the apartment became too big and far too quiet. Rebecca disappeared a few weeks later. She didn't need a man with a past, she needed a moment. 3 years have passed. I still think about Mia whenever I walk past bookstores, because sometimes the greatest betrayal isn't another person. It's the moment you stop protecting what you already have.
My name is Emma, and until a certain moment, I was sure I knew my husband. Michael didn't look like a cheater. He came home on time, kissed me on the forehead, asked how my day was. We had been together for 9 years. Our son, Lucas, was 6. It started with small things. His phone always face down. A password I didn't know. Phrases like, I'm staying late. Work. Don't wait up. I didn't want to suspect anything. I believed him. The first warning sign came when Lucas said, Dad, someone was sending you hearts. Michael laughed. That's work stuff, buddy. I believed him back then, I still did. The affair came out in the most ordinary way. He forgot to log out of his email on our shared laptop. I wasn't snooping. I just needed to print a document. That's when I saw her name, Sarah. I miss you. When are you going to tell her? I can't live with a woman who's always tired and busy with a child. With you, I feel alive. I read those lines and literally couldn't breathe. He had been cheating on me for 1.5 years, while I was sick with a fever, while I took Lucas to doctors, while I planned our vacations. He took her to the same city where we lived, the same restaurants, on the same weekend when he told me he was on a business trip. When I told him I knew, he didn't deny it. I didn't want to hurt you. You changed after the baby. You stopped being a woman, you became only a mother. Those words hurt more than the affair itself. A week later, he moved out. A month later, he introduced Sarah to Lucas. She's just a friend, he said. Sarah bent down to my son and said in a sweet voice, I'm not here to replace your mom, don't worry. She was lying. When the court battle started, I realized Michael hadn't just left, he was fighting. He wanted to prove I was unstable, that I was too emotional, that the child would be better off with his father and a new family. But it wasn't a family. Sarah merely tolerated Lucas. And then she started pressuring him. "You're a big boy, stop crying. Because of you, your dad is always stressed. Mothers don't always tell the truth." Michael stayed silent. Because staying silent is easier than admitting you betrayed not only your wife, but your own child. In court, he spoke beautifully. About equal rights. About a second chance. "I said only one thing. He betrayed me as a husband, and now he's betraying his child as a father." When the judge read the decision, Michael stared at the floor. Sarah stared at her phone. "I didn't win because I was perfect. I won because I didn't betray." That night, Lucas hugged me and said, "Mom, I'm not scared anymore." And Michael, he was left alone with the truth he had been running from.
My name is Daniel. When I first met Anna, she seemed independent, smart, calm, thoughtful. Only later did I realize that there was always someone else in our relationship, her mother, Linda. At first, it felt harmless. "Mom just worries," Anna said. "She only wants what's best for me." Linda never raised her voice. She spoke softly, with a polite smile. But every word she said somehow made me the problem. "You're holding Anna back. She could do so much better than you." I stayed quiet. I believed that if Anna loved me, she would eventually separate her life from her mother's. She didn't. Every argument between us started the same way. I talked to my mom. After that sentence, I already knew how it would end. "You're selfish. You pressure me. You're not ready for a serious relationship. Is that what you think?" I asked her once. She looked down and said, "I trust my mom." Even when Linda was clearly wrong, when she exaggerated, when she twisted my words. One evening, I finally said what I'd been carrying for a long time. "I want a family with you, not a life supervised by your mother." Anna quietly called Linda. She came back and repeated her words as if they were her own. In that moment, I understood. I wasn't fighting her mother. I was fighting a choice Anna was never brave enough to make. I packed my things without a scene. Before leaving, I said, "When you learn to listen to yourself, you'll understand why I left." She didn't answer. I didn't leave because I stopped loving her. I left because in our relationship, there was no longer room for me. I saw her in the club near the end of the night, when the bar had already dozed off and the music had softened. She was standing at the bar. The light made her eyes glassy and her smile easy and deliberate. Her name was Claire. "Are you alone?" she asked, and there was a confidence in her voice as if she already knew the answer. I bought her the first cocktail, then another. She touched my wrist, talked about travel, about how all the men here were the same. She said it was rare to find someone who actually listened. We started seeing each other. Her laugh lifted me off the couch after rough days. We ate in expensive restaurants, took taxis I'd only read about in business magazines. She always had some problem. An overdue rent bill, a frozen bank account, an urgent trip out of town. And always subtly she asked if I could help. "You're so reliable," she'd say when I handed over another card. I thought I was helping someone I loved. I'd built a version of us in my head to people who could get through anything. Things cost money, of course, but the price faded against the feeling that I was truly needed. Over time, though, Claire's habit of disappearing became systematic. She stopped answering calls, showed little interest in my day. When I asked where the money went, she said, "I just want to live better," and looked away, as if asking me not to ask again. One evening I had to meet a client at another club. I went in early to work at the bar for a bit, and from a corner I stopped cold. There she was on stage. Claire moved as if every gesture were a honed profession. People threw bills at her. More handed over cards, and she took them, smiling the same way she had that first night. My heart broke not for shame about her, but for shame about myself. It turned out her urgent problems had a name and an address, spotlights, and the music that thrummed in your chest. She wasn't hiding. She was simply playing the role I wanted to see. When she came off the stage and walked over to me, she didn't look guilty. She only asked quietly, "You don't mind?" I paid for her taxi and stepped out into the cold air, where the night smelled of petrol and damp. Inside, I felt hollow. I didn't say a word. I didn't shout or beg. I left and allowed myself, for the first time in a long while, to look at my hands, the same hands that had paid her bills, the same hands that had held hers the first night. They were free of excuses. She wasn't bad. She was a professional. I was the one who had bought an illusion with real money. The next day I called friends, started gathering my things and my thoughts, not to punish her, but so I wouldn't return to a place where I could be bought again for a smile, for attention, for a night. And when I think of Claire now, I don't feel anger, just a mild sadness and an odd gratitude for a lesson I paid dearly for, but finally learned. Like to support the channel. New videos will be coming soon.